Hey guys, doing another video on my opinion on something real quick. Today we're going to be talking about high caps versus mid caps versus real cap magazines for airsoft and some of the advantages and disadvantages of them and what I prefer. First off, not all mags are created equal. So just beware of what you're getting. Some high caps may be horrible, while others are great. While same with the mid caps and I guess you would call them real cap mags. Um, one I know one gun that particularly does seem to have a problem is the P90. With its mags, apparently the whole warning with P90s is get mid caps over their high caps because for some reason the system um that winds the gears for the high caps to feed apparently likes to break really easily. Um, but for some reason I haven't had a problem. My my high cap broke because the retention spring to keep the BBs in apparently broke or something. So whenever I try to wind it, BBs would actually come flying through the top. So there's no way for me to wind it. Um, but that's besides the point. We're here to talk about mid caps and high caps. And I don't have any real caps, but basically they're a limited version of mid caps where it has like 30 rounds. This is a mid cap. As you can hear, it does have BBs, but even if it had BBs, it wouldn't rattle because there's no loose BBs in there. It's all in the channel. So what a mid cap is typically 150 or so rounds, a little bit less, a little bit more depending on the mag. This holds 190. This is the Banff mag Gen 1 by Evike. They're pretty cheap. I think I got these for like $9 each. Um, they feed pretty well. And like I said, basically there's a channel that goes around the inside of the mag that has a spring that just pushes everything up. So you don't have to manually wind it and you don't get a rattling sound like with this high cap. Oops. Okay. So the advantage, no winding. Most places will allow these. If you do milsim, these are typically what you bring. You see some people bring real caps, but most people do high cap. I mean, not do high caps. Most places ban high caps, but they will allow mid caps as long as they're not a winding type, which would make it a high cap. But these, technically, these fall within mid cap rules, and they're pretty decent round size. While they're pretty cheap. Um, but the big disadvantages compared to a mid cap to a high cap is obviously the round count. With this, I have to actively know at one point in time I'm going to reload, so I either have to get a vest or bring in at least one more mag with me. And I know with real caps it's going to be even more. And I know some people say, well, it's realism, but one of the things I bring up constantly is the fact that you can't really do realism with airsoft. As much as you want to try to do it, your BBs aren't going as fast as a real rifle. It's not going to have the accuracy as a real rifle because other factors such as wind and the fact you don't have rifling. Um, and just ballistics in general. That's why I don't use real caps because 30 rounds out of an airsoft gun, unlike a real rifle, those BBs may go anywhere. So I want more chances to be able to hit. So that's why I kind of prefer these because these are pretty high cap and cheap for mid caps. I think usually most M4s are like 130, 140. But these feed pretty well. Also, another downfall is with some of the mid caps, since it's a spring pushing them up, you do have feeding issues sometimes where the spring might not be strong enough. The spring becomes weak over time. It may not be able to force all your BBs out, so you'll have BBs left in the mag itself. Um, but typically, good mags will typically feed all the way through and keep up with a good rate of fire as long as it's not a ridiculous rate of fire. With these, I took 3 magazines out, filled them after I bought a bunch of magazines because they're cheap and they came in bundles. Um, they fairly fed well. I think I had like one misfeed, but I think it was something got clogged. Um, but yeah, I was able to keep up with my M4 with 11.1 lipos, full autoing, with pretty much no issue. Um, so yeah, if you're looking for a decent mid cap for an M4, I know everybody goes PTS. Apparently the QRSs are pretty good. I didn't have an issue with it because that's the one that came with my gun. Um, but yeah, these give you more ammo capacity and actually feed really well and are pretty cheap. Again, pretty cheap, like 9-10 bucks. Um, now let's go on to my high caps. These two are my high caps I use. As you can tell by the rattling. This one has a little bit more in it than this because I plan on going airsofting later with my AK just to try it out because I did get it back recently and I want to try and I'm trying to fine tune it to where I want to get the settings because the thing I put in it was a Titan Gate, which is a programmable MOSFET, which I will do a thing on that because that's a pretty interesting thing I like. But as you can see, they have a little door that you put the BBs in. You can see the BBs. These are tracer units BBs. That's what this one is, a little sliding door. Typically, this is what you get on all of your on your high caps. You get a little sliding door. As you can see, they shake inside. That's what's caused the rattle. You get a little whining thing. It may be right here, or it may be on the side or something. I know some, for some reason, have a little winding wheel that you have to do with the Allen key. You got flash mags with pull. But typically for these are perfect for if you don't want to have to reload, and you don't mind having to wind a little bit. Because this one carries like 500, 550, I think. And a typical AK mid cap is 150. So I would need multiple just to get the equivalent for this for purposes. And basically I wouldn't have to get, with this I won't have to get a vest to be able to carry anything that to carry more mags. And typically this will be way more than enough for a round of even what I do for CQB at times. But yeah, the disadvantage, of course, shaking. Advantage, high capacity. Typically, since you're using a winding wheel, you don't have as much feeding issues. If you do where it's not feeding, you just wind up the thing again and it pushes BBs up and stuff like that. I think this one, wait, okay, yeah, there's my finger. This one cost around, I think, $35 for it because VFC really just goes fuck you when it came to their scars. And I wanted a Scar H over Scar L. And their Scar H Max are literally saying fuck you with them. I think the mid caps, which are like 150, are like 26, 27 bucks, which is an extreme price for a mid cap. But when you're trying to find unique stuff in a market that isn't really competitive for that gun, they can charge whatever they want. For AK, it's a little bit cheaper. I think this, let me look it up real quick on my other monitor. Right now, this is on sale for 10 bucks right on Evike, but its usual price is 14 bucks. It is a 550 round magazine capacity high cap. It comes standard with a lot of SEMA stuff. The mid cap version is 11 bucks. Again, pretty cheap because AKs and M4s are typically your standard rifles that people go for. Everybody goes for M4s more than AKs because a lot more countries use M4s. I like the AK stylings better than the M4 styling, even though I'm in America. I just like the Russian stuff better. It just looks the brutality of it being simple. It just looks cooler to me. Um, but yeah, if you don't want, but to each their own. I'm not going to say, oh my god, you're using mid caps, or oh my god, you're using high caps. If there's no role on it, then use whatever you want. Again, I like using high caps for when I do CQB and maybe outdoors. I need to go. I'm trying to find a good outdoors place, but since it's in the middle of the summer and just starting to finally cool off, a lot of people avoid the outdoor spots because in Texas it's like 100. Because when I was doing paintball, before I just financially couldn't do it this year, it was reaching like 100, 110 outside, and it wasn't fun. You literally felt like you were being drained. So I'm probably gonna try to run my M4 at a couple places since I'm gonna be using for outdoor exclusive. I don't want to use it for CQB because I got the AK and the SCAR for it. And typically, when I upgrade the SCAR, I'm probably going to be using the SCAR a lot for CQB since it's the shortest of all three of my rifles. Ironically, but yeah, use whatever you want. If you don't mind the sound of a rocket shaker, then go for a high cap. Honestly, I haven't had any problems besides that one with my P90, which may have been user error, or just may have been because P90 suck with high caps. Trying to think of something else to say right now. But yeah, don't judge others. Basically, like I've been saying, don't judge others on what they use. As long as they're having fun and they're not hurting you, what mag they use is not going to hurt you whatsoever. But again, just be wary with mid caps. Typically, depending on what you're doing with them, you have to buy like extra, and it's all about price. Again, for the same price as this, I could, was pretty much the same for this. Or for the mid cap for this, $3 cheaper for a third of the, third plus of the capacity. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like always, leave a like and comment if you want to, and don't forget to subscribe. I am going to be trying to do another gun review. It's just right now I'm getting ready to go airsofting. So peace.